What is up, YouTube family? Welcome back to On-Chain Gaming. My name is Jake, the On-Chain Gamer, and today we're talking about Mirandus again, because there's three things that we need to talk about. The first is that we have just learned that there's going to be oceans and ports and islands in Mirandus, so that is really cool. We also need to talk about taverns versus inns, because Michael McCarthy, who is the lead developer of Mirandus, has had some things to say about this, and apparently they aren't really going to be in that much competition at all. And then finally, we need to talk about tents, because there's been some controversy over that as well. And I have some pretty insightful thoughts about that I want to share. So we're going to be getting into all of this in today's video, a really fun Mirandus video. If you don't know what Mirandus is, then check out a bunch of my other videos that explain a lot of the basics. If you enjoy this type of content, then remember to leave a big thumbs up, as that will help out this video in the YouTube algorithm a ton. Also hit subscribe, click the notification bell, you won't miss any future videos, and let's get into this one.
On-Chain Gaming.
To start off, let's talk about the oceans and piers. So there's some pretty big things that we can get from this. First of all, there are going to be some new massive NFT building drops, because if people need to own and buy piers, if people need to own and buy boats, then yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff to possibly invest in. I wonder how integral oceans are going to be to the Mirandus map. Like, is there going to need to be like ocean trading routes? I mean, in the real world, oceans are a much faster way, or at least for a lot of history, oceans have been a much faster way to transport goods than over land. And if that is true in Mirandus, which would make sense in that time period, then oceans might be a very important part of all the supply chains and all of that in the world of Mirandus. So I cannot wait until we can actually maybe like see a map of Mirandus, see how this world is actually gonna look. And I think this might be coming sooner rather than later, because they talked about the really simple app RPG that might be coming out and will allow people to use their deeds before the full game is ready. And if that is a top-down view, that should give us a real view of the world, because they talked about how we're gonna be able to place deeds on the app before the full game is even out. So I cannot wait to see how oceans actually fit into the land of Mirandus. Michael McCarthy even talked about in the video how he thinks it would be cool if like you had a map to a secret island, then you could possibly find a secret island. We'll see how all of these things are actually put into the game and how cool they are. It's a lot easier to have ideas than it is to implement them, but if anyone can implement them, I believe in this AAA team that's behind Mirandus. Now let's talk about inns and taverns, because if I am being honest with myself, I was a little put aback after inns were released in the store, because I own a lot of taverns and I am also the head of the Drunken Duck tavern chain in Mirandus, and now we have a bunch of franchise owners, and there's probably going to be upwards or maybe over 50 different Drunken Duck taverns in the world of Mirandus. And when we learned that there was going to be inns that we were going to have to compete with, and that inns were serving food as well, we were like, what the heck? We didn't know this competition was going to be here. And yeah, I was a little bit put aback at first, but in this most recent AMA, Michael McCarthy has laid a lot of those doubts and kind of angst that I was having. He's laid them to rest generally. He talked about how taverns are still going to be extremely important and really aren't going to be competing against inns that much, because even though yes, you can get some food at an inn, it's like you're going to be able to eat when you're staying there overnight type of a thing. Whereas if you just want a quick snack or a healthy meal before you go out to adventure, or if you want games and entertainment as well, then taverns are the place that you're going to want to do. If you want to drink with your friends, you're going to be doing it at a tavern, not an inn. For the most part, taverns are not a place that you want to sleep. Yeah, maybe you party too hard and you drink a few too many and you pass out in the tavern, but that's probably not going to get you great sleep compared to actually staying at an inn and having your own room and a nice comfy bed. So these were distinguished a little bit more in the AMA, and I'm pretty happy. It makes sense that inns need to exist in the world of Mirandus. I mean, maybe you can rent a spot at a tent, but yeah, that leads us to the third and final topic I want to talk about in this video, which is tents. So if you don't know, there is this debate that's been happening between Bitbender and McCarthy, because Bitbender believes that tents should be able to go anywhere, or what's the point of a tent? And Michael McCarthy thinks about it a little bit differently, in that a tent can still have a lot of usefulness without being able to go anywhere. But I also have my own viewpoint on this. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the points of view that Bitbender and McCarthy have, then watch the AMA, watch that full AMA, we'll have it linked below. But personally, I feel like if tents were allowed to go anywhere, then it would kind of destroy the whole scheme that's been set up by Gala Games. This whole idea of a limited number of total deeds, that after all the deeds are sold, other people are not going to be able to buy a deed unless they buy it from you. And that's where you start to get a normal economy, and you start to see property value. How much are these deeds actually worth? How much are people willing to pay for them on a secondary market? And if Gala Games is able to introduce tents that act like deeds, well, then it's kind of a slippery slope. And who knows what other buildings might be released that act like deeds in the future, and it will slowly corrode the value of a deed. And I'm saying this as someone who mostly owns buildings. I don't own any deeds except for a farming hamlet. That is the only deed I have because I got in a little bit late, and I even had to buy that deed from a secondary market. I would love to be able to buy one of the big towns or something that's still for sale, but I can't really afford it. Maybe if Gala goes up a ton, then I'll be able to buy one of those, because I have been trying to gather as much Gala as possible. So that's kind of my move, to maybe be able to get a big deed in the future. But yeah, I'm someone who mostly owns buildings, but I think that it's important that the deed scarcity is maintained. So what's the value of a tent if it can only go in a deed slot? Well, tents are still going to be useful because the players that own a tent are going to be able to sleep in a tent. So remember, there's not that many homesteads. There's not that many people that are going to have their deed homes. So people are going to need to stay in tents or camps or inns and stuff like that. So a tent, even if it has to be placed in a city of some kind, or in a town, or in a farming hamlet, or in an outpost, or next to a homestead, it's still going to be important because it's going to allow your character to sleep. You're probably going to be able to eat there, and it's going to be necessary in order to successfully adventure. So tents can still have value without allowing you to camp in the middle of a forest, where, as McCarthy says, you would probably die because there's going to be a lot of evil things in the forest in Mirandus. So I personally believe that tents should only be able to be placed in a deed. That's my stance. I think it's a slippery slope. If Gala can start releasing new NFTs that can be placed anywhere, it will start to, degrade the value of deeds. And I'm saying that defending deed owners, like I said, as someone who only owns one deed, who mostly owns buildings. And I know that as a building owner, because there's an infinite number of types of buildings that are going to be able to exist, Gala is going to be making up for the fact they can't create new deeds by just creating more and more buildings and maybe expanding the deeds that already exist or something. So yeah, we'll see how it all works out. This is all an experiment. This is the first massive multiplayer online blockchain game with real land ownership, real item ownership through NFTs, and a real play to earn crypto economy. So we just have a lot to learn. I mean, we're going to learn a lot about game development through this. We're going to learn a lot about economics through all of this. And I am just really excited. I love the vision that they have. I think this game is going to be a massive success, but there is going to be imperfections. And I think even Gala themselves are going to be learning from this. And yeah, the whole space is just so new. And I'm glad that we get to participate in this first massive multiplayer online role-playing blockchain game. It's just epic. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said at the beginning, leave a big thumbs up if you haven't done that yet. Hit subscribe and click the notification bell if you're not subscribed yet. And then if you like what we're doing here on On-Chain Gaming, talking about player ownership and just how gaming is changing forever, and you want to support what we're doing, then check out the link and you can check out our Patreon page, or you can hit the join button and check out the channel membership. And yeah, you'll you'll get more information about that if you click the join button. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have fun roaming the metaverse.